And let's go to retired U.S. Navy pilot Captain Armen Kurdian for more. Captain, thanks for joining us. I know you have nearly 30 years of experience as a Navy pilot. So what do you make of the way this collision happened? Based on what we know so far, looking at the video, listening to the audio, listening to investigators' description, what's your reaction?
Morning, Dan. Well, based on my history and knowledge of when I was in the Navy, when we had mishaps, you're going to find that there's going to be more than one causal factor. It's going to be a mixture of human and system or mechanical or computer issues. I found it very, very fascinating, the fact that these two aircraft would find themselves in the same piece of airspace so close to the runway. But there's a lot of things that could happen. Every single one of them, probably on its own, is extremely improbable. That's incidents happen. So, say, for example, did the helicopter believe it was at one altitude, but actually reporting a different altitude? Did the American Airlines jet start its approach to final a little bit too early? Was there something going on with the air traffic controller system that prevented it from seeing a flare or the kind of alert that it normally gets whenever two aircraft are converging within the same airspace? So they're going to look at all these causal factors, but they're also going to look at training. They're going to look at the history. They're going to look at how many hours this guy worked, the controller or woman, I don't know if it was a man or woman, was working that particular day or in the last few weeks. All of these things are going to go into a very, very comprehensive report. And those lessons are going to be applied to the future so that this doesn't happen again.
I think many of us who aren't pilots put ourselves in the position of a driver when we think of situations like this. And it's hard to imagine crashing into, a bus or a truck or something like that if you're saying you have eyes on it and you're being told to avoid it. So can you explain how much more complicated it is in the air at night, and especially if they were using night vision goggles?
Absolutely. Regarding night vision goggles, I would be very shocked if both pilots in that helicopter were using night vision goggles. If they were, maybe it's something they shouldn't be doing. But if you think about it, you have a pilot in the command, you have a co-pilot. Co-pilot's working the radio, other systems, checking other things. Perhaps that co-pilot was under training himself. Maybe the pilot was training the co-pilot, so the co-pilot was doing something. The pilot maybe looked away for a second. And although it's very hard to tell from the aspect of the video, I couldn't believe that even if they were looking at the right aircraft, that they would have only seen it maybe within their view scan for just a few seconds before the impact actually occurred. So, just a minor distraction. Think of yourself in the car, your phone rings or you're switching the radio, all of a sudden, you hit somebody, or you're back to driving, you're texting and something happens. So those kinds of things can happen in the air as well, because pilots, although they're very disciplined, distracted just like everybody else because they're human beings.
And investigators are calling this a tragic accident. We've also heard over and over again from various officials and various departments that air travel is safe. So does that mean they're sure this was unintentional?
We can't imagine any situation where somebody intended for something to actually go wrong like this. I can't even conceive of a situation or a series of events that would cause this to be intentional. I can assure the American public that air travel is safe. We do have the best air traffic controllers in the world. We do have a shortage of air traffic controllers. The mandatory retirement age is 56. And I think that's something we're going to look at to keep the air traffic controllers on a little bit longer. We also have a shortage of airline transport pilots. So if you want a career in aviation, it's the path is clear. But a lot of things possibly went wrong here, but the air travel is safe, and I would not be concerned. In fact, I've got a flight coming up here next month. I got no issues.
And Captain, the NTSB now has the black boxes of the plane. I'm out of time, but what do you think we're going to learn from that?
You're going to learn a lot of things. You're not just going to be looking at those last few seconds of flight to see if there's any control inputs or what the communications they were using, but you're going to look at maybe a takeoff. You're going to look at everything, the entire holistic picture, and help build that picture. So did the pilot of the helicopter see the aircraft at the very last second and put in a control input? What altitude was the helicopter reporting? What did radar altimeter say? What was the altimeter setting that they placed? That maybe that there was a mistake there that caused the helicopter to believe it was at one altitude when it was in fact at another. I do believe, just based on what I've seen, that altitude or a misunderstanding of altitude is going to play a part in this. But it's a lot of things that they're going to be looking at, and there's a tremendous amount of data on those black box recorders, and also the tapes in the air traffic control system and the tower that they're going to look at.
All right, retired U.S. Navy pilot Captain Armen Kurdian, we appreciate your time today, sir. Thank you.